So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NYU Silver Alumni Panel Series, Executive Leadership and Social Work Practice. My name is Marvin. I'm graduating this year, and here's an open panel. We're going to go ahead and start with Anahi, who's going to right now.
Okay, hi. I just graduated. So I've been sitting there, I've been sitting here, and now I'm here. My name is Anahi Galante. I am a Silver Foster Fellow, and my interest, my focus is working with the Latino and LGBT populations, and I am equally interested in both populations.
My name is James Wells, and I'm a graduate of NYU. I've done this panel several times. I'm happy to be back. And I graduated in 2011, and currently I practice in private practice, my own private practice, and I also work part-time in a middle school with middle school children in public school. And I'm also currently a candidate at a psychoanalytic institute. So that's something. So those are kind of the three things that I'm doing at the moment, and happy to get to meet all of you.
I'm Burke. I am a graduate in 2005, which makes me feel old. And I currently am the director of the Homeless Outreach Program for Brooklyn. I've worked in various fields over the years, HIV work, and then lots of work with the homeless and people living in supportive housing, and just people living with mental illness and supported employment and structured rehab sort of situations. And I've been in not this panel before, but a few other panels that they've done in this room with focus on social justice and careers in social justice and kind of careers alternative to kind of straight up clinical work. And so I look forward to questions.
Okay, so there are a couple questions that we have already outlined, and in time permits, we'll go ahead and open the floor for general questions that you may all have. So one of our first questions for the panel: was there any specific class or classroom experience that has highly helped your professional development?
I'm the one that just finished everything is fresh. To tell you the truth, there is no one. Every single class at NYU has been just so fantastic in helping me, developing my professional identity. I cannot point out one single class. Human behavior 3 was fantastic in terms of preparing us for the real world, the professional world. Social practice work 4 was magnificent, but I still remember all other classes. Like social welfare policy is so important. And I just came from an interview, and we were talking about what happened with the history of mental illness in this country, and then everything came back to me. And so I was on top of the conversation, and being an NYU graduate is a cool. I recently passed my licensing exam, and I was a member of a Facebook support group for people preparing for the exam. And you can tell who is someone that finished school at NYU. You can tell. And in my experience in internships, also the differences, the level of our ability to understand assessment, our ability to articulate what it means for that client, that particular approach. So I don't have one specific class. I love them all, and drug was so fun for my favorites.
I too had many classes that were very impactful. And are you all brand new to NYU or? Okay. Not all new, okay. So, Yeah, so the practice 1 and practice 2 I felt was a really great class, and just in terms of that my class became a group really, and we all became quite close, and a lot of us are still in touch and have helped each other out with jobs and referrals and all sorts of things of that nature, and also just learning the basics in that class of how to engage with a client, how to the basic terms, and I thought were really helpful. And also the HB, all of the HB classes, as you mentioned, were great in terms of learning about theory, and I remember learning about attachment theory and learning about object relations in those classes to begin with. And then I ended up taking those 2 electives, attachment theory and object relations, which were, you did that?
No, when I predicted.
Those are good. There's a lot of great electives, so you'll have to, make your decision based on what you're interested in. But I thought those 2 classes were really great, just as far as helping me understand these people that I was just getting to know in my placements. And then also I took some classes from the child and family flow that I thought were really helpful. I work with children a lot now, and those classes really helped me to learn how to work with children and work with people that aren't really talking a whole lot. So using play therapy and understanding their world without when it's not communicated in words, I guess. And also policy I thought was a really great class too, in that it just taught me kind of the world of social welfare, and a lot of those ideas come up when you're looking for jobs in the agency world, and I think it's really great to understand where funding comes from when you're considering a job and so forth. So that was also a great class too. So.
I think for me the classes that I remember the most were the practice, the first year practice class was great because it went from like the same group of people of both semesters, and like you said, my group, they turned into a group, and we have traveled the road together through school, and are so close friends and kind of the people that I really know who are social workers. I don't have that many social workers in my life, but some of the people that I went to school with are those people, and I thought my practice class was also very good. Most of the classes that I enjoyed here, I ended up taking in the evenings just because of the scheduling, and I had a lot of adjunct professors, people that had like kind of regular people jobs during the day and then would come here and teach at night, and I found that really helpful for me in that those people were like in the field on the street, like had more practical knowledge, I think, than you would have if you had someone who was kind of an academic. So for me that was really important to have people who were in it, And then the class, like the 2 classes that I feel like I've used the most concretely were the groups class, which was really awesome. I've done a lot of support groups and different in my HIV work, and also in the work I've done in some rehab programs and such. And then I took grief loss improvement, which is one of the best electives. I don't know if Alan Levine is still teaching that, but he was an amazing professor. He actually taught both of those classes that I took, and I ended up doing grief loss improvement groups, which is interesting. So both of those classes were very practical for me. And I just think, like I said, the adjunct, taking classes from adjuncts is really, can be really valuable, because if you are able to develop a relationship with a professor and you have someone who is working in the world and can kind of give you advice about where to go and what to do in your field of interest. I feel like it's hard. It's really difficult to look for a job, and especially if you have kind of a broad area of interest or a broad area of experience, you don't quite know where to look. And so I got my first job in social work because my best friend worked at Bellevue, and he gave my resume to the right lady. So knowing people was helpful. Using your internships, using the people that you meet there, either like in your internship or people that you work with in the community. Organizations are probably really helpful. But just, perseverance and patience, not letting the mandate down, so to speak. Because it can be really taxing, and especially if you're, people such as yourself, you don't have another income, you don't have kind of a backup plan. If you want to get a school, you need a job right away, you can kind of feel the pressure to take the first thing that comes at you. And that can be good or bad. That can give you the experience to know that this is not for you, or that this is what you want to do, and you can kind of, keep rolling along. And I always tell my clients and my friends, you can do anything for a year. So you take that job, if it's not for you, you keep going.
Yeah, actually what you're saying is what my mentor was telling me. When the first job, just for a year, you only have to be there for a year. I am in the middle of my job search process, so I thought about that question. And what I would do differently, I would start to network earlier, which is a little bit what you were suggesting. I'm kind of the person like living the moment and God will provide, so I'm not the kind of strategic planner, and if I do this, then this will follow. And I wish I could have more of that a year ago. The one thing is follow through every single advice I received. This school is fantastic in the sense that you have so many people, so much experience, and so generous and so willing to share. That in a way, one gets bombarded and it's like, okay, I can't follow everything. And right now, I wish I could have followed everything. And get a part-time, if you don't have the luxury. For me, I did have a little bit of a cushioning, but by now the clock is ticking. So I think that it's a smart thing to do. Get a part-time job in whatever it is to secure some income while you're looking, so that takes away a little bit the pressure. And 1 month before graduation, I only have plan A, and plan A did not come through, so I'm still figuring out what is plan B, C, and D. And that's unusual because I usually have A, B, C, and D plan. So be prepared, have different cards to play around. And the one thing I think is great for me, I know what I don't want. And I feel that that's so fabulous, because when I get the daily, thing from my list or socialwork.com or whatever, like now this one. So that's really great. So if you don't know what you want, you might start with what you don't want.
I feel like I'm thinking back on my job search, and I think compared to some of my classmates, my search was relatively smooth. I certainly knew people that once they graduated didn't have a job until February, and a lot of people, I'd say most people, I also graduated right around the time of the economic crisis, so I don't know if that was a factor and why that was, but 2011, yeah. So it was still, things were still feeling kind of shaky when I graduated, but there most people I knew went through at least 2 jobs in the first year, and a lot of people went through 2 in the first 6 months, went through 3 in the first 6 months. I think it's fairly happen. And so I was hired on with my second year placement, and I kind of knew early on that it wasn't for me, and so I started then looking, and I heard about the job that I'm currently at the middle school through somebody that I knew from here, so that connection helped me get in, and just as has been said, I found a lot more success with personal connections and knowing people rather than just applying to postings without knowing anybody. So I think if I would do it again, I would if I could speak to myself back when I was in your place, I would probably say that all of the people around, even though I didn't know it at the time, were excellent resources once I finished. So, that's teachers and also other students, people that, the placement that you're at, can all be, people that can help out later on. So yeah.
So what advice do you think the future you would give to you right now?
Oh, wow.
The future us both, like now future, or right now to that?
2020 or
I would say that I would encourage myself to reach out to more people while I was here. I kind of got into a routine and, missed out on interesting events that were happening. And keeping in touch with teachers that I really liked was probably something that I could probably think to do over.
I just want to reinforce something that you said, but I did it. I went to every single event I could. I mean, this was my home. and that's something really wonderful to do. And I'm still in touch with the professor that I sort of consider my favorite, except that they're like at least 7. So it's hard to keep up with all of them. But, for instance, on Sunday for Rosh Hashanah, I just text 2 of my best professors, just say Shana Tova, and it just felt so great for me to let them know that I think of them. Because they were people that really made a difference in my life. I think my own thing is a little bit what I said earlier, being more strategic. I'm sure that in 5 years from now, I will say to Anahi today, damn it, why wouldn't be more strategic? I think that that's really important. And I think strategizing begins in the last semester, including with which kind of meetings to choose. I mean, what you did, that was fantastic. You can take as many meetings as possible, but also expands your perspective, broadens your knowledge in the field, and be strategic about getting the licensing exam as soon as possible. My original plan was to do it earlier on in New Jersey and then transfer, but then I got distracted and I didn't do it. Because that helps with the job search. And what you said, James, being strategic with the relationships. Every single new person we meet counts. It doesn't matter if he's a student, a peer, a professor, a guest panelist, and try to keep up with that relationship, build it, drop a note. It's just hard because we have to listen, but it's important.
So is this future me talking to me personally, or future me talking to me when I was in school? I feel like the thing that would help me in school the most is just to relax. I'm a really intense person. And, I felt like I came to school with an idea of exactly what I wanted to do as far as work. And I had this vision of what my career would look like. And I got my dream job right out of school, and it was horrible. I worked at Bellevue Hospital in the virology clinic, which is the HIV clinic, and the work was amazing. I loved my clients, I loved the work I got to do there, I loved the changes I got to see in people, and the doctors I worked with, it was brilliant. But the other social workers were terrible. And it was heartbreaking how terrible they were. And I only lasted there for 9 months, and now I'm my dream job. And so from that point forward, I felt a little bit like I was just kind of flailing. I had no idea what I'm doing. I'm kind of hopping from thing to thing to try and find my niche. And I feel like that was really great for me, though, because what I do now, I work with the homeless on the street, and I feel, I've been doing this for a while now, and I feel like the street homeless population are kind of the convergence of all social problems, and poverty and education issues and imprisonment and HIV and mental illness and everything kind of coming together. And so my experience is pretty broad and kind of all comes together in this job that I have now, which is amazing, and I love it, and it's perfect for me. But it took me 8 years to get there. I got my first foot into homeless outreach as a part-time job because I was incredibly broke. And they reformulated all the homeless outreach programs in 2007, so they just have every borough has their own program, and they have just all of these job applications out there for part-time workers. And I got this job in Brooklyn. The guy hired me without even seeing me face to face. We talked on the phone and we just clicked so well, and I understood what he was trying to do, and I was really passionate about it, and he felt like it was a good match, and that changed my whole trajectory. And it was something I did 2 nights a week, and so I think just being open to what comes at you and to kind of changing your vision as life changes, as the world changes, as your interests change. I read a lot, be it like newspapers, magazines, books, anything I'm interested in, I'll find something that will enhance my knowledge of that thing, because I feel like that's the way you connect the best with the world. And for me, that's been, I think, how I've gotten to where I am. I've been with my program pretty much since its inception, and now that I'm a director, I feel like I've been able to kind of form it in the way that I want it to be, and to work somewhere that is exactly what I wanted, as far as like kind of the ease of relationships in my office, the hardcore nature of the work, the very basic, street level, like nuts and bolts and stuff we can do. I mean, it's good, and I am so lucky, and I feel like just so blessed to have landed there. But like I said, it took a lot of trial and error and kind of frustration. And part of that for me also, future me, I think future me 5 years from now, 10 years from now, would be talking to me about self-care. I feel like that's super important, and that's not something we talk a lot about in school. Depending on what you do, you're going to be, you're in it, you're talking to people who've been just beaten about by life. And, most of us are very empathic people. We kind of carry all that with us, and you really have to learn how to take care of yourself while taking care of these people that are counting on you. And that's been really very challenging for me, because my job is everything. Like, I live in Brooklyn. I'm in charge of every homeless person on the street in Brooklyn. So, I see my work everywhere I go. And so that has been, I think, something that I would, both 2005 maybe and 2020 would need some, encouragement on.
One thing that Casey said that really stuck with me is the idea of relaxing. And if I can tell myself that back when I was a student, in that social work school goes really quickly, and 2 years to learn the job that's expected when you graduate is really not that much time. So I think that I would have liked to have told myself that it's okay if I don't know everything at the end, and that I think the hard thing about this profession, and also the amazing thing as well, is that it's really a lifelong pursuit, and the learning really never stops. So when we're done, that's just really the beginning of a lifelong learning process about ourselves and the people that we see. So it's hard to appreciate that at the beginning of the road.
I'd like to read on that, because I think that one of my blessings of my first year is that I finished my first year with a true conviction that I will learn for the rest of my life. And that helped me to relax. I can't know everything, and I can't tell you how much this is helping me now in my job search, that sense of that always learning, and I'm taking so joy. The other day I was applying for a part-time position working in a shelter for HIV. And I'm looking at the description and saying, I'm not so sure how good I am on articulating crisis intervention, although I have quite experience on that, but I wasn't sure I could articulate it in an interview. So I just Googled away, and I created a document of 2 pages, and I said, I'm ready to school. And I really read, and actually those 2 pages, I took it to the interview I went. I didn't use them, but just in case I have them. And that's the case, because every show is asking for something different. And when you are reading those show's applications, you can't know everything that is there. So it's what do you do what you don't know, and how well you can prepare yourself, to understand the topic, and just, be aware that there will always be something to learn. And that's the beauty of the profession, actually. Because I think that's what keeps me younger.
You want to start us off?
Yeah, the professional development seminars and activities go for them. They are really fantastic. And I'm really glad that I went as many as I could and saved those notes, because for the first 2 years of your professional career, those notes are real lifesavers. Additional lectures. Every time there is a lecture in between classes, go for them. And the library. The library is... And be involved in the school. I was heavily involved as a leader. I was in the leadership of the Latino social work student organization and writing practice. Yes, it was a lot of extra work, but it was also wonderful, because you meet people, you feel community, you begin to understand also the implications of the profession in the larger world, and how those conversations you have in this informal setting help you to form that new you that is being in progress. I find that really important. And the one thing I wish I could have done, do the search of every single article in the syllabus, because even if you don't read them at the time, after graduation we don't have access to all those articles. So it's such a great thing to do. Actually, I'm planning to keep some of my friends still in school. So you can search for me if you. That's my list.
So please share any recommendations for how to make the most of your MSW experience.
I think I'm always, this is my life philosophical bent, right? Like, just be open to everything. You never know where you'll find your thing. The thing that interests you, the thing that was your career. You never know where you'll find it. I had a pretty rough go in social work school, just because I wasn't aware that this was so clinical. I didn't know there was a difference, and so I came here. I was really desperate. I was unemployed. I needed something to do, and this is where I got it. And they gave me a scholarship, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then I realized quickly that, oh gosh, this is not what I wanted. But I feel like it's taken me maybe 5 years, 10 years to really realize the depth of my understanding because of my school here. And I don't always realize it. Like, at the moment, I'll be doing something, I'll be like, and that's it. And the job that I have is not really one for, it's mostly the people that have it are people that did like community organizing track at Hunter or administrative track at Columbia, and I'm one of the primary clinicians at my job, and so I'm the one that they come to for answers about our clients that are acutely mentally ill. And so the thing that I fought so hard against when I was in school is now my thing. So I just think being really open to the experience, kind of learning from everyone around you, be your colleagues, your coworkers at your internships, your professors, and life. I'm from Texas originally, and I've been in New York for 13 years now, but I feel like the city teaches you so much, you're not from New York, but you're at school here for a couple of years, use the city, learn from it. I tell people when they're taking a study exam, the LSA exam, that like your testing, the test is actually for people from like the Midwest or something, because everything in that test is so slow, and there are so many more steps between like A and B than there are in New York City. So like everything, they're so concentrated, it's so quick, and so like focused that you can learn so much here and then move on to the rest of the world and be like an expert in everything. So I believe very strongly in using New York City as your educator and your guide.
I would second the open-mindedness point. I almost think of a social work program as kind of a sampler plate, and social work is a really diverse field in terms of like there's so many different aspects to it, and a social worker in one setting can be doing something completely different from a social worker in another setting. So what you get in social work school is really a taste of each of those, and I think having an open mind about it and just allowing for us to allow ourselves to have all the feelings that we have in response to it. And if something is really speaking to you or to your interest and is really perking your interest, or it seems inspiring in some way, whether it's substance abuse or working with children or policy or social justice, whatever it is, clinical, to really follow that, and not that following that means that that's going to be what you do forever, but it could just be something to keep inspired and keep engaged in all the material that you're coming in contact with. So.
Well, are there any questions from the audience?
This is a question for James. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No,
Can you talk through what you see as the pros and cons of your your candidacy at the Psychoanalytic Institute from your perspective?
Yeah. Well, so I did a year in the field at this middle school that I'm still at, and I was doing full-time at that point, and now I'm down to part-time. And I felt I was in contact with, I loved it right away, but it was very overwhelming at times. It's a very difficult age group to work with, and I was dealing with a lot of trauma, with people with trauma, and I was taking a lot of it home with me, I think, and it was very difficult to deal with, and being so new to it, it was overwhelming, and being in a psychoanalytic program, so the pro for it would be that it helped me to understand a lot of what I was seeing, and it gave me a place to process a lot of what was coming up for me. There's group supervision, there's individual supervision, you have to be in your own therapy, and there's, depending on where you are, there's different requirements for each of those three, as well as classes that teach you theory, and all of that theory was very relevant, in my case, to all that I was seeing. So that was definitely the pro. And the con would be that it's a ton of work, and life is a lot busier now that I've started that. Now that I've been doing it for 3+ years now, I've started to figure out ways of making it more manageable and making it not so insanely busy when it's all happening during the school year. So those are the two things I would say. And I think any sort of training is really valuable. I know a lot of people that are training at the Akron Institute, which I think is just fantastic. That's for family therapy. It teaches, primarily working with families, but there's other things they teach there as well. And there's many, professional development things around that are not institutes also that I think are really valuable. And another thing that I've found that's helpful too is being in a group supervision or some sort of supervision group. And that's something that I started when I was still a student here, at the end of being a student here, and then I've continued ever since. And that's just another opportunity to kind of, take care of myself, as we've talked about, and, an outlet for stuff that comes up.
You already sort of touched on this, but I was curious about your placement experiences when you were in Silver and how that impacted where you are now. And if you could also maybe touch on how specific your notion of what you wanted to do when you were entering school and how that affected the placements you were able to get. It's sort of a broad question, but it's really about field placements in the course of the 2 years you were in the program.
The first year I knew that I had to be open, but I also was genuinely open, and I'm extremely grateful because one of the things they ask you what would you not like to do or if you have issues with something, and I really didn't want to work with children because my thing is the vulnerable population. And I was quite surprised. I remember writing this in the application. Well, surprised me. And I did. I ended up at Western Queens Community Consultation Center, and I worked mostly with children, ages 4, 7, 8, and 13, and their families, and with mandated clients. And I think that experience was incredible because it really showed me how real social work is, and that if you set yourself to, you can do anything. With the proper supervision and the proper support system. And the other thing, at one point I said, well, I like to work with the vulnerable population, but everybody was a child at one point. And you know what, I said that as a joke, but that was really relevant. And I'm glad I paid attention to that. And my second year, because I was on a fellowship, when you're in fellowships, you have more of a focused track. Everything I did was relevant to my field.
My internship experience was pretty rough. My first year, I was placed as an adult day healthcare program for people with HIV, and through this organization called the Bachelor Residence Committee, they do primarily homeless services. And they closed my program about a month into my internship. And it was pretty rough because I didn't like it there, and I felt like I could have gotten a lot out of it. It was really difficult, very intense place, but some of the clients there are still people that stuck in my head. So I was there for, they announced the closing, I think at Halloween, and wrote until Thanksgiving. And then I went on to another internship that I actually had to find for myself because just the way things were that semester, they couldn't find anything for me. And I was there for about a month, and then my supervisor quit. Just like in the middle of the day, walked out. And so for me that year was all about perseverance and patience and just kind of I have always felt, and I feel now doing my job, like you never know where the best experience is going to come from. I didn't have a supervisor at my second internship, but there was a case manager that was still a very good friend of mine who I worked for actually. He was my director of one of my programs, and there's a psychiatrist at the first internship that I had who I was still a good friend with, and he was the one that gave me the best advice and direction on working with those clients. Just anybody who is in the field, who's been in the field for a long time, they might have more knowledge, they might have more understanding than the person who's your actual supervisor. So for me, that was the kind of learning experience I gathered from that. My second year was entirely Metropolitan Jewish health system. And most of the people I worked with, they were like over 60, between like 60 and 90. And mostly homebound, some people with cancers and dementia and just issues of aging. And that was a really intense thing for me. And going into someone's home is such almost an invasion, and so you have to be really careful and really respectful, and it's really intense, especially for like a student to just be walking in someone's door and taking over their life. And so, it was a real learning experience about boundaries and structure and all that stuff that you'd be later down the road regardless of where you land. And so I feel like all things with me, just being open to the experience and kind of gathering from it what you can do and what's going to be a part of your kind of grab bag down the road.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to tell at the beginning what an experience is going to be like, really, and I had an interesting trajectory with my placements. My first year I was working in a home-based sort of program with Holocaust survivors, which was very interesting, and I loved the work with the clients, and it's a population that is not going to be around forever, so I still to this day feel very lucky to have done that. But at the same time, I had a supervisor who was very, very difficult to deal with, and it was a real challenge.
Is that Alan Brooklyn?
Yeah, it is. And I'm pretty sure this person is not in the field anymore, but in a way, I feel like it helped me to know how to deal with somebody like that, how to work with somebody like that, and there are people that would fit that bill at almost every agency. So that's something that we all probably have to deal with at some point. So that was interesting. And then my second year, I had put that I wanted to do something, I was set on doing something clinical. And that was I was, absolutely committed to this, and I got placed at an outpatient mental health place, which is exactly that. And I did this interview with them to get in, and lo and behold, it didn't work out just from the initial interview. And so then I got placed at this family clinic doing family therapy in Brooklyn. And I was set to begin in the fall, and I was just, frustrated and upset that this was not what I wanted. And then I got there, and it was fantastic. And I had an amazing supervisor who just taught me so much that I still take with me today in terms of working with the family and understanding how families work. And so I think it's really hard to know until we're in it, really, what it's like, which is hard, I think, as a student, to just put our faith into something, and we don't always know why the decision's made. It's not always explained to us. So,
Now that you said that, one of the things I learned is to make the distinction between the placement or the agency and the quality of the supervision you're getting and the kind of exposure you're getting. There are three separate, like my first internship, I really did not like the agency at all. But I had a supervisor that was amazing, and we're still in touch. And my second year, I was placed in what I thought it was the dream placement, especially in palliative care, and I asked to be pulled out of it because the relationship with the supervisor was really toxic, and I tried to do everything I could. I think that that's important. Again, well, in real life, I may have a boss that I might not like, and there you are. So I tried to use that as an additional learning experience, but when it became really toxic, it was like, okay, I need to advocate for myself. So if you end up in that situation, which sometimes happens, don't be afraid of advocating for yourself, talk to your faculty advisor, and if you need to keep going up the hierarchy, you know. We cannot advocate for others if we don't learn to do it for ourselves, and that's really important. And all the leads I'm having in my job search come from my second replacement. Both my supervisor and my task manager, they're both sending me all the time, oh, this is perfect for you. And can I use your name? Sure.